The Samsung Galaxy S25 FE is seriously one of the best smartphones you can buy for the money right now. Despite this phone actually being a very affordable option, you're getting some really incredible specifications here, and compared to some of the top smartphones out there, this phone is actually very competitive even with those devices. So anyway, as you can tell, I'm very excited about the S25 FE, so let's get further into it here in this video. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 FE. Now, this phone was launched several months ago, however, I did finally pick one up. Now, this is, to be more specific, the Metro by T-Mobile model of the device, so I really didn't pay too much for this phone. I actually bought it on eBay, so there are certainly many methods you can go about getting this phone if you do want to save a lot of money. I do know also at the various carriers, they are offering their own promotions if you buy from them directly, and if you want to as well, you can obviously go directly through Samsung and buy this phone factory unlocked. Now, what's kind of funny though is that since this is the Metro version of the phone, we are getting some Metro bloatware pre-installed, as you can see right here. And even on the lock screen, you're actually getting these ads. So that is a bit annoying, but I suppose that if you're getting the Metro version of the phone, you're probably going to be saving even more money. So in general, the various benefits of the S25 FE make it worth it. But before we get too far into things here with the Galaxy S25 FE, let me show you what comes included in the box. So here's the box, kind of your typical Samsung smartphone box. There's the name of the phone right there. It is a slim box because there is no USB wall adapter included, but we'll open this up and see what is actually here. So we have a packet, of course, and we'll open up this packet and see the items. So I believe there's a SIM card removal tool kind of hidden in there. We have some literature, and then finally, we have a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. Now, interestingly, I'm actually using the Galaxy S25 Ultra to record this video of this phone right here, and that's a fantastic smartphone. It's one of the best out there in the industry, and also hence the name of the S25 FE, this phone is technically in the same family as that device. And I would say that this phone actually has the majority of the major features that you'd even want from the S25 series. I think for many people, and even including myself, the Ultra really has more features than I even need. And some of those features might be ones that I do use occasionally, so that does still make it worth it in some situations, but I think for most people, they don't need the best of the best from Samsung. They don't need a top-of-the-line Ultra smartphone, and instead, a device like this one makes a lot more sense. Especially considering that you can pick this phone up for essentially half the price of an S25 Ultra, and again, we're getting the core fundamentals that we're also getting with that phone. Now with this device, we are getting an excellent 6.7-inch display. So this display is dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2X. We are getting a 120Hz refresh rate with the display here on the phone, and it does have a peak brightness of 1900 nits. So not as bright as other flagship devices out there, but at the same time, it's still a great looking display. With it being AMOLED, we're getting really good viewing angles too, and if you are outdoors with this device, it will at least get decently bright. Now this display is 1080p, we're getting a PPI of 385, we're getting a 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio, and we're getting an 89.2% screen to body ratio. So we're getting a nice flat display here with the device. We're also getting very small bezels all throughout. And then up top here, there is a hole punch with the front-facing camera, and that front camera is 12 megapixels. Now stay tuned for my full review of this device, as I'll be showing you a bunch of different camera samples from all the various cameras here on the phone, but definitely you should expect to get pretty decent camera quality, and essentially flagship level camera quality with this phone. And really from generation to generation with the various flagships, it's not like the camera quality gets dramatically better. It is more of a evolution. So even though the camera tech here on this device might not be some of the latest and greatest out there, it's still really good for what it is. And I think for most people, it's plenty good enough. There's a good reason why the FE series has actually been one of the best-selling series from Samsung, because these phones really do just deliver so much. Now this phone is offered in different storage configurations. This is, as I mentioned, the prepaid carrier version of the device, and we are getting 128 gigabytes of storage, and there's no microSD card expansion. So 128 gigs is certainly a pretty generous amount of storage, kind of the bare minimum I feel like for a flagship. I know that there are some phones that I cover here in the channel, budget devices that have 64 gigs. I feel like that is definitely the bare minimum for storage, but I do feel like for most people, they should get a device with at least 128 gigs, so at least this phone does deliver in that department. We are also getting wireless charging here with the S25 FE, with it offering 15-watt wireless charging with Qi 2. So unfortunately, there's no magnet in the phone, so if you do want to use it with a MagSafe charger, you'll have to use a compatible case, but at least it does support kind of that faster wireless charging standard. Now with this device, there's an in-display fingerprint sensor, but unfortunately with this Metro bloatware, I do have to first swipe, and then from there, I can use the fingerprint sensor. So kind of a downside of this being a prepaid carrier model of the phone, and I'm sure that could be annoying for a lot of people, but that is kind of the situation here. The good news though is that the fingerprint sensor is fast, and in addition to that, the phone does support Face Unlock as well. Now take a look at the back of the phone. We are getting a triple camera setup. And again, this is one of my favorite things about this phone. We are getting a lot of different camera options. So we're getting a 50 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, and then we're getting an 8 megapixel telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom. So you should definitely expect good camera performance from this device because it is getting those flagship level cameras. And you can see within the camera app, we're getting a lot of different options here. So this is with the main rear camera right now. Now you can go up here and tap on this 12M and switch over to 50M, which is the full 50 megapixels. So that is certainly something that you might want to try out. We also have 0.6 right here. So that's for the ultra wide. So certainly with ultra wide, you can fit a little bit more content into a single frame. And then if you go over to 3, that is the 3X telephoto. Now there's other options like 10, 20, 30X, and that is more of a digital zoom, but Samsung does do a good job with that as well. But it is still nice that we are getting an actual telephoto camera here with this device, despite this being an affordable flagship smartphone. We can also go over to the More tab and access a bunch of different options. There's portrait video, there is pro mode, there's night mode, food mode, slow motion, all that good stuff, dual record. Then over in video, the phone actually supports 8K video with the rear camera. And then with the front-facing camera, you can go up to 4K. And then you can take great looking selfies here with the phone as well. You can crop out a little bit for a group selfie. There's also portrait mode, so all the good stuff that you'd expect to find with a modern flagship smartphone. Now with the Galaxy S25 FE, we are getting 8GB of RAM paired up with the Samsung Exynos 2400 processor. So in general, again, expect to get good performance with this device. The phone also is quick to load up your apps and all that stuff too. So overall, just a good experience. Now I did run a benchmark test and I got a single core score of 2161 and a multi-core score of 7046. So these are really decent scores, especially for a phone in this segment. So this phone is in the middle ground between a mid-ranger and a flagship, but these are great scores for an affordable smartphone. And with this device, we're getting a 4,900 milliamp hour internal battery, along with up to 45 watt fast charging. So you will have to buy a fast charger separately because it's not included, but being able to recharge the phone that fast is certainly a really convenient thing. So it's great that we're not only getting a large battery, but then you can actually recharge the phone very quickly. And then with this device, we are getting Android 16 with Samsung's One UI 8. Definitely a big fan of One UI and especially One UI 8. It really does give the phone a nice polished experience. And along with that, we are getting all the good stuff that comes with Galaxy AI, which you can't actually get with Samsung's A series phones. So this is one of the more affordable ways to get into Galaxy AI, which I think is really fantastic. Now with this device, there's Samsung Pay, so there's NFC. There's also an IP68 dust and water resistance, so this phone can go underwater for up to 1.5 meters for up to 30 minutes. So all around, this phone really does offer a lot. Now on the right side, we have volume up and volume down, also the power button. On the left side of the phone, we have nothing. Up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. On the bottom of the phone, we have the slot for the SIM card, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the main speaker. And I really like this simplistic look on the back of the phone. It doesn't really pick up too many fingerprints, which is great because I like these matte finishes for that reason. We have Samsung branding down below here, and then we have the triple camera setup along with the flash. So based on all of that, I definitely think the Galaxy S25 FE is a really solid choice if you're looking to not spend too much on a smartphone, but at the same time, you actually want all the features that you'd want to get with a device. So really, if you end up with this phone, there really aren't compromises with the device in the sense that you're going to be lacking anything major. If you go up from here to an S25 Ultra or even just a regular S25, the changes really aren't going to be that noticeable. There's of course going to be things like the S Pen like you get with the S25 Ultra, but for many people, they just want a good, practical, working smartphone that's also going to last them for a long time. And this phone also will be getting software updates into the long term because it is very well supported by Samsung. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. This is Kevin here. This is the Galaxy S25 FE, and I'll see you in the next one.